5. One thing Tyler had said was undoubtedly true. This was a test. How devoted was Erno to the society of cousins? How good a judge was he of Tyler's character? How eager was he to see his mother and the rest of his world made uncomfortable? And how large a discomfort did he think was justified? Just how angry was Erno? After Erno got back to his room, he lay awake unable to sleep. He ran every moment of his night with Tyler over in his mind, parsed every sentence, and examined every ambiguous word. Tyler had never denied that the philosopher's stone was a bomb. Erno looked up the term in the dictionary. A philosopher's stone was an imaginary substance sought by alchemists in the belief that it would change base metals into gold or silver. He did not think that the change that Tyler's stone would bring had anything to do with gold or silver. He looked at his palm, long since washed clean where Alicia had written her number. She'd asked him to call her before he did anything stupid. At 15:45 the next day, Erno was seated in the amphitheater among the crowds of cousins. More people were here than had come the previous week, and the buzz of their conversation, broken by occasional laughter, filled the air. He squinted up at the dome, trying to figure out just where they had placed the stone. The dome had automatic safety devices to seal any minor air leak, but it couldn't survive a hole blasted in it. Against the artificial blue sky, Erno watched a couple of flyers circling like hawks. 15:52. Tyler arrived, trailing a gaggle of followers, mostly young men trying to look insolent. He'd showed up. What did that mean? Erno noted that this time Tyler wore black. He seemed as calm as he had before, and he chatted easily with the others, then left them to take a seat on the stage. At 15:59, Deborah's daughter took her place. Erno looked at his watch. 1600. Nothing happened. Was that the test? To see whether Erno would panic and fall for a ruse? He tried to catch Tyler's eye, but got nothing. Deborah's daughter rapped for order. The ranks of cousins began to quiet, to sit up straighter. Near silence had fallen, and Deborah's daughter began to speak. Our second meeting to discuss. A flash of light seared the air high above them, followed a second later by a concussion. Shouts, a few screams. Erno looked up. A cloud of black smoke shot rapidly from a point against the blue. One flyer tumbled, trying to regain his balance. The other had dived 100 meters, seeking a landing place. People pointed and shouted. The blue sky flickered twice, went to white as the imaging system struggled, then recovered. People boiled out of the amphitheater, headed for pressurized shelter. Erno could not see if the dome had been breached. The smoke, instead of dissipating, spread out in an arc, then flattened up against the dome. It formed tendrils, shapes. He stood there frozen. It was not smoke at all, he realized, but smart paint. The nano devices spread the black paint onto the interior of the dome. The paint crawled and shaped itself, forming letters. The letters, like a message from God, made a huge sign on the inside of the clear blue sky. Bang, you're dead. You're dead. One of the other stories for men was about Harry, Rodney, and little Bert, two petty criminals on an ocean liner that had struck an iceberg and is sinking, with not enough lifeboats for all the passengers. The patriarchal custom was that women and children had precedence for spaces in the boats. Harry gives up his space in a boat in favor of some girl. Bert strips a coat and scarf from an injured woman, steals her jewelry, abandons her below decks, and uses her clothes to sneak into a lifeboat. As it happens, both men survive. But Harry is so disgusted by Bert's crime that he persuades him to run away and pretend he is dead. For years, whenever Bert contacts Harry, Harry tells him to stay away or else the police might discover him. Bert never returns home for fear of being found out. 6. In the panic and confusion, Tyler Durden disappeared. On his seat at the meeting lay a note. I did it. As a first step in responding to the threat to the colony, the Board of Matrons immediately called the question of ostracism, and by evening the population had voted. Tyler Durden was declared invisible. As if that mattered. He could not be found. 7. It took several days for the writing to be erased from the dome. A manhunt did not turn up Tyler. Nerves were on edge. Rumors arose, circulated, were denied. Tyler Durden was still in the colony, in disguise. A cabal of followers was hiding him. No, he and his Confederates had a secret outpost 10 kilometers north of the colony. Durden was in the employ of the government of California. He had stockpiled weapons and was planning an attack. He had an atomic bomb. At the gym entrance, AIs checked DNA prints, and Erno was conscious as never before of the cameras in every room. He wondered if any monitors had picked up his excursion with Tyler. Every moment he expected a summons on his wristward to come to the assembly offices. When Erno entered the workout room, he found Tyrus and a number of others wearing white T-shirts that said, "Bang, you're dead." Erno took the unoccupied rowing machine next to Ty. Ty was talking to Sid on the other side of him. A woman came across the room to use the machines. She was tightly muscled, and her dark hair was pulled back from her sweaty neck. As she approached, the young man went silent and turned to look at her. She hesitated. Erno saw something on her face he had rarely seen on a woman's face before. Fear. The woman turned and left the gym. None of the boys said anything. If the others had recognized what just happened, they did not let it show. Erno pulled on his machine. He felt the muscles in his legs knot. "Cool shirt," he said. "Tyrus wants to be invisible too," said Sid. Sid wasn't wearing one of the shirts. "Eventually, someone will check the vids of Tyler's performances and see me there," said Ty between strokes. "I'm not ashamed to be Tyler's fan." At 13, Erno and Ty had been fumbling lovers, testing out their sexuality. Now, Ty was a blunt, over-muscled guy who laughed like a hyena. He didn't laugh now. "It was a rush to judgment," one of the other boys said. "Tyler didn't harm a single cousin. It was free expression." "He could just as easily have blown a hole in the dome," said Erno. "Do they need any more justification for force?" Ty stopped rowing and turned toward Erno. Where he had sweated through the fabric, the bang on his shirt had turned blood red. "Maybe it will come to force. We do as much work and we're second-class citizens." He started rowing again, pulled furiously at the machine, 50 reps a minute, drawing quick breaths. "That Durden has a pair, doesn't he?" Sid said. Sid was a popular stud boy. His thick chestnut hair dipped below one eye. You should have seen the look on Rebecca's face when that explosion went off. I hear if they catch him, the council's not going to stop at invisibility. Erno said, they'll kick him out. Invisibility won't slow Tyler down, Ty said. Would you obey the decree? He asked Sid. Me? I'm too beautiful to let myself get booted. If Tyler Durden likes masculinists so much, let him go to one of the other colonies or to Earth. I'm getting laid too often. Erno's gut tightened. They will kick him out. My mother would vote for it in a second. Let him try, Ty grunted, still rowing. Is that why you're working out so much lately, Ty? Sid said, planning to move to Earth? No, I'm just planning to bust your ass. I suspect it's not busting you want to do to my ass. Yeah, your ass has better uses. My mother says Tyler's broken the social contract, Erno said. Does your mother, Ty said, still rowing, keep your balls under her pillow? Sid laughed. Erno wanted to grab Ty and tell him I was there, I helped him do it, but he said nothing. He pulled on the machine. His face burned. After a minute, Erno picked up his towel and went to the weight machine. No one paid him any attention. 20 minutes later, he hit the sauna. Sweating in the heat, sullen, resentful. He had been there, had taken a bigger risk than any of these fanboys. Coming out of the sauna, he saw Sid heading for the sex rooms, where any woman who was interested could find a male partner who was willing. Erno considered posting himself to one of the rooms, but he wasn't a stud. He was just an anonymous minor male. He had no following. It would be humiliating to sit there waiting for someone, or worse, to be selected by some old bag. A day later, Erno got himself one of the T-shirts. Wearing it didn't make him feel any better. It came to him that maybe this was the test Tyler intended, not whether Erno would tell about the Philosopher's Stone before it happened, but whether he would admit he'd helped set it after he saw the uproar it caused in the colony. If that was the test, Erno was failing. He thought about calling Tyler's apartment, but the constables were sure to be monitoring that number. A new rumor had it Tyler had been captured and was being held in protective custody. Threats had been made against his life, until the Board of Matrons could decide when and how to impose the invisibility. Erno imagined Tyler in some bare white room, his brain injected with nanoprobes, his neck fitted with a collar. At biotech, Erno became aware of something he had never noticed before, how the women assumed first pick of the desserts in the cafeteria. Then, later, when he walked by their table, 4 women burst into laughter. He turned and stared at them, but they never glanced at him. Another day he was talking with a group of engineers on break. 3 women, another man, and Erno. Hannah from Materials told a joke. What do you have when you have 2 little balls in your hand? The other women grinned. Erno watched the other man. He stood as if on a trap door, a tentative smile on his face. The man was getting ready to laugh because that's what you did when people told jokes, whether or not they were funny. It was part of the social contract. Someone went into joke-telling mode, and you went into joke-listening mode. A man's undivided attention, Hannah said. The women laughed. The man grinned. How can you tell when a man is aroused? Pearl said. He's breathing. That isn't funny, Erno said. Really? I think it is, Hannah said. It's objectification. Men are just like women. They have emotions too. Cool off, Erno, said Pearl. This isn't gender equity class. There's no gender equity here. Someone get Erno a t-shirt. Erno wants to be invisible. We're already invisible, Erno said, and stalked off. He left the lab, put on his suit, and took the next bus back to the dome. He quit going to his practicum. He would not let himself be used any more. He was damned if he would go back there again.